Uh, I am honored to be here. The Holy Spirit is obviously here already, and it's a pleasure to worship with you guys. I'm going to share just a bit of my history with this church. I'm not going to take too much time, but just kind of give you a little bit of my connection with this church. I talked about John and Deborah already being an important part of the genesis of Celebrate Recovery in this town, and that has become the most important thing in the world to me. So I always think of them when I think about our beginnings. And I remember John said, we're going to give it a year. and they did. And I remember Deborah, a comment she made one time, I can't believe we're talking about all this stuff. Does that sound right? Because in Celebrate Recovery, we get real. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And we talk about our hurts, our habits, and our hang-ups. And God is determined to use the support program to generate healing. And then we get to move on. And it works if you work it, as they say. So I showed up in Missouri from Texas about 20-some years ago. I don't know. I was about 44, so it was about 27 years. I was 43. So it was about 27 years ago. I was getting there. I was destitute. I had 2 little paper sacks to my name. I've been through a lot that I put myself through. And I don't have time for that this morning. But needless to say, I was at my bottom. And I lived with my parents and just kind of did what I had to do to get by. But I had an encounter with God shortly before I came back to Missouri. And I had a little bit of hope. And I pursued that hope and went to recovery meetings every night for 2 years. I never missed a meeting. Because there I had bonded with some folks that had similar issues like mine. And I had this little crew, 5 or 6 guys, and we hung out. And my parents attended this church, so I was getting tight with Jesus as best I could at that time. And I knew that he had made me sober. There were some miracles that happened that were quite profound. And I was set free from addictions. And I owed Jesus everything, but the program gave me support and friends. I didn't have any friends. So I brought them all to church here. And I don't know if Stan remembers or not, but we had pews back then. And we had a pew that was designated the AA pew. And and they would come to church with me. And I wanted them to get what I had. And so I guess that was kind of the beginning of the ministry that God was leading me to. And I'm going to share a story. This church has already had an adoption program. It's going to make me weep. Don't worry about it, okay? It'll pass. So one day this lady named Vicki, she came to AA, and she was a mess. She was probably 25 or 26. She had a little boy, 2 or 3 years old. And she, you can actually kind of get some vibes from somebody who's filled with God's Spirit. You're kind of attracted to him, And that's supposed to be that way. So she was kind of attracted to our little group. And she said, can I hang out with you guys? And I said, well, all we do is go drink coffee at night. And, but you're welcome to join us if you'd like. So we let her into our circle. We got close as friends. Nobody ever had any romantic notions. That wasn't allowed. That would get in the way of our recovery, perhaps. So you got to keep things straight. So we got to know her. She was a real alcoholic. She had pushed it as far as she could. And she had been diagnosed with a lot of internal problems. and she was told that if you ever drink again, you're going to die. She did okay. She came to church with us. She was really going in the right direction. And we were excited to have her as part of our little group. One day I got a call, and I had to go to the hospital. And we didn't have cell phones back then, so I don't know how they got a hold of me, but they did. And I took a couple of my buddies with me. And Vicki was in the hospital, and she had drank a bottle of vodka. I have no clue why, but she did. And as a result, she was bleeding dramatically and regurgitating blood dramatically. It was not pretty. And she said, "Rick, I got some business." To take care of. Get the pastor and his wife. So the pastor who was here before John and his wife came up, and she said, "Will you take my child? I have to leave." And without hesitation, they said yes. So we got the right people with the right papers, did the paperwork, and the pastor and his wife adopted the little boy. She passed away very shortly after that, and I trust that she went to heaven. That young boy is today a sparkling man of God. He's 25 or 26 or 27, someplace in there. He serves the Lord, and he greatly loves his adopted family. This church has already been involved in the adoption program. So we have some examples that we've had share with you. If it had not been for my own experiences in the church and a 12-step program, I'm not sure where I would have went. This church supported me when I came. Stan and very few others are the only ones left. I don't know what happened to them all, but I have a good notion. They went to heaven, I think. So time flies. But this program is the real deal. You can find out everything in the world about it online at recoveryprisonministries.com. I'm going to leave some pamphlets out front, a big stack of them, so you can get a pamphlet if you want to. But because it is a church-wide program which affects all of the members of the church, I wanted to speak to the church. And it's an opportunity for you to take a part in changing somebody's life or allowing God to change somebody's life, because we can't do it. We're powerless, but we can present a person an opportunity to grow in the Lord and to lead him to water, and hopefully he'll drink, or she. The Restoration Project program has huge potential. It's for anybody that's needy, homeless people. This community has a lot of them. People just ignore them or make some minimal efforts to help them. I believe that the church is to embrace such people. I believe that's what Jesus taught us to do. There's a lot of scripture about the opportunities for the church to love people to life. And I'm not going to go into all that this morning, but you can easily find it. There's some good scriptures in the pamphlet that I have that I'll leave out front. So we believe that the church could reach out to homeless people and adopt them. It doesn't cost the church anything. You don't need much money in your church bank account, because the fact is that the members have personal assets to contribute to the needs of this individual. Somebody can find him or her an apartment or a place to stay temporarily. Somebody can provide transportation, clothes, food, help them find a job if they need it, and get them set up to succeed. They have some basic requirements, which is they must join the church, be an active part of the church. They've got to go to Celebrate Recovery and Celebrate Recovery Step Study programs because, to be honest, RCR is absolutely powerful. And the presence of God is evident, and the power of God changes lives. And we thrive on supporting those folks. You see, once you have been in a serious mess and God sets you free, you rejoice. And you just can't wait to give away what God has given to you. And that's the way we are. We're on fire for Jesus. And it's the most important thing in the world to us. Because I once was that. No hope, no nothing. Just, ready to die. And God can turn things around and put his glory in a person's life. And that person can go out and make a difference in the world. Yeah. By the way, I got ahead of myself. That's all right. For a long time, this church has been donating to Celebrate Recovery. No, to RPM, Recovery Prison Ministries, which is a 501c3 organization. With your monies over the years, we have bought thousands of Bibles and thousands of Celebrate Recovery Inside workbooks and distributed them to prisons and jails all over this state. Thousands and thousands. Many lives have been changed by that, and never was your money squandered. It went to the glory of God, and we greatly appreciate it. So the Restoration Project would reach out to homeless people, people in county jails. County jails are hellholes. They're worse than prisons. We believe in ministering in county jails, and we can discern that some might be good material for the Restoration Project. Not everybody in the county jail needs to be saved. Some need to go to prison, and that's just the way it is. But many that are currently going to prison don't have to. There's just nothing else to do with them. And that's the truth of it. So they send them to prison because that's what they've always done. We've been able to intervene in a couple of cases, and we intend to intervene in many, many cases and become an alternative sentencing program. We will present our credentials and our successes and advise the powers to be that we would be willing to take this person into our program instead of sending them to prison. And I think that based on what we've seen already, there's a dramatic opportunity. Because again, there are very few meaningful options to prison. Very, very few. This program is so potentially powerful. Every church in this country, a Bible-believing, God-fearing church, could be a part of this program. Doesn't matter if they're in New York City or Sedalia, Missouri. They just have to be willing to take a chance on somebody. We have reduced the liability as much as possible. I think over the years, churches have wanted to do things similar to this, but they got hurt. They got burnt. They don't know how to deal with this, to be honest. So we do. We might be teary-eyed on the outside, but we're tough as nails on the inside. And so we intend to pre-screen everybody that we would present as a candidate for adoption by a church. We'll sort them out. And we will be available. Our organization will train someone designated by the senior pastor to be the coordinator for that church. The coordinator, once they're trained, they will interview the individual and find out his needs, talk to the senior pastor and discuss whether or not that might be something that the church would like to do. And if so, then proceed. It takes a while to get things done, of course, but the same plan would be used for all of those groups of individuals I was talking about, whether they be from jails or off the street or prisons. Prisons is a separate deal. We're not even going to mess with prisons right now. It's a huge opportunity with a whole bunch of challenges. So we'll get around to prisons in a couple of years. But for the most part, we're going to stick with homeless and county jails. There's enough people there to last for a long time, enough opportunities. And so we're going to save the prison thing for a while. It's complex. But the same opportunity exists for people in prison. So we will get there. So you are going to enjoy, if you choose to do this, an opportunity to watch God work in somebody's life and change them. It has a tendency to reinvigorate the church body, and it's good for everybody. We will also, I kind of quit before I was ready, we will be available should you have any problems. If somebody does not want to cooperate, we will come in and counsel them. If the problem is not satisfactorily corrected, we'll come in and throw them out. We will help you with any problems that you might have. We hope we don't miss any, but we will, and but hopefully not many. Most of the candidates we hope will be successes for everybody. This program can be applied to men and women, families, teens. There's a lot of places letting people out on the streets. There's teens that are locked up and they get kicked out on the street. There's families that get pitched out of homeless shelters. There's a lot going on out there, and hardly any real meaningful follow-up programs to help people. So I believe the churches have a biblical mandate to help, and I know it's a little scary. People have to kind of step out of their comfort zones, and but you know what? I believe that the love of God will prevail in these churches if they'll give God a chance, because God is love, and Jesus died for all those forlorn, needy people. He didn't die for the religious people. He died for people like me. And then he said to those disciples, you know what he told those disciples? He didn't go out and save the whole world. No. He said, go out and disciple the world, man. Go out and help them, guide them, teach them, hold them, embrace them, love them, just like I did. So I think that's pretty much what God would have us to do. And if we could get a couple thousand churches on board, taking a couple of people a year, my goodness, what a splash that would make in heaven, you know? And then it might even make a splash here. I kind of spoke my heart, and I said I'd be done by 12. It's 12. I'm done. Thank you very much.